Today's episode is dedicated to Phil and Florence. Alright everybody, welcome back. Listen, I want to say I don't want to make this a sad episode because I know that Phil wouldn't want us to be sad. But we lost a really cool, awesome barbecue community member this past week. And I know these videos are supposed to be evergreen. We're not really supposed to talk about time frames. But this is the last week of April 2020. And a lot of people don't realize that us creators here on YouTube, we have a very close community, kind of like behind the scenes. We have groups on Facebook, we talk to each other on social media, we talk to each other on the phone, we text message one another. And there's a lot of people in the community that are very well liked. I think we all have people that don't like us, or we have enemies, if you will. But I'm going to say that Phil and Florence was a guy who had no enemies, and he was just a happy guy, very family oriented, very loving, very generous. The hot sauce bottle that I showed you here, he did a video on this, I don't know, it was a couple months back from the time of this video, and I saw it and I commented and I went, man, I would love to get my hands on that because I love hot sauces. And within minutes I had a message in my inbox asking me for my address, and he wouldn't take any money for me for the sauce or for postage. I mean, just a great guy. And the stuff is so good that you can see I only have like this little bit left. And after I found out what happened this past week, I kind of vowed to save the rest of this sauce and just keep it like on my desk or whatever. But you know, I don't think Phil would want me to not use the rest of the sauce in here. I'm gonna save the bottle forever. But today, I'm gonna do a family cook. This was not a planned video. This is just a nice day on a weekend here. And I'm going to be doing some ribs on the Weber Kettle. I'm also going to do some pork chops. And it's just going to be me, my wife, and my kids. Family. And that's exactly what's so important to me in my life. And I know it was very important to Phil too. So I thought, what better way to tribute a video to Phil than to do a family style cook and use the rest of his hot sauce on my pork chops at the end. Anyway, listen. We're going to go ahead and get this Weber Kettle set up. I'm going to show you how I prep the ribs. This might be a little bit of a longer video. If it is, bear with me. Just hang with me and have fun, okay? We're going to get the ribs done. While those are resting, we're going to do the pork chops. To start with, let's get our Weber Kettle set up. Then we'll go inside and we'll prep the ribs. Now, to set up the Weber Kettle for a low and slow, I use the slow and sear. I love it. I put it in my grill 2 years ago. It hasn't come out and it never will. You're basically going to start with a full slow and sear full of coal. You're going to light one end and you're going to allow it to come up to temp slowly. Now I'm going to use wood chunks today in this cook. You want to place your wood chunks underneath the coals. There's science behind this. I'll link you to a video in the iCard and I'll put it down in the description. But you don't want that wood on top of the coals, you want it under the coals. It's going to produce a much cleaner smoke a lot faster. You never want to put your food on the grill until you've got a nice thin blue smoke. That's the clean smoke. That's exactly what you're looking for when you're barbecuing. Sometimes you see people put food on their pit right after they've lit it because they think that that smoke is actually good for the food. It's not. It's going to make the food bitter. It's just downright nasty. And once it's there, you can't get it out. We're cooking today. We're going to be around 250, but if we drop about to 225 or 275 in there, I'm not going to worry about that. A lot of people are so keyed in on temperature. The truth is you can do 225, you can do 275. Your food's going to come out fine. Just try to maintain a temperature in that range. The food's not going to know the difference, and neither are you, to be honest. We're inside to prep these ribs. My wife and daughter had to go pick something up, and I have my son and my youngest daughter here with me, so if you hear some noise and if the camera works a little different, it's because my son is working the camera for me today. So I really appreciate him doing that. Here he is.
Hello.
Thank you,
I'm the
buddy.
cameraman.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
All right, so now it's time to prep these ribs. And there's one thing I wanted to mention to you. Recently, Dalstrong Knives reached out to me to partner with the channel. And I was real proud that that happened because they are one heck of a knife company. So they sent some products out to me. And I'll tell you, I've got probably 8 different chef's knives here. These are just incredible. I mean, the feel and the weight, the balancing, it's really, really incredible stuff. So I did want to mention it to you. I do have an affiliate link for them. If you want to support the channel, you get 10% off your order, and the link's going to be down in the description. Only if you're in the market for knives. I don't expect you to buy anything just to support the channel, but if you're going to buy some anyway, save 10%, support the channel if you will. I really appreciate it. Now, I always start with my ribs upside down because I want to remove the membrane first and I want to season that side first. The first thing I'll do is unpackage these, pat them dry with a couple paper towels just so that we can get some of that moisture off of them. Then I'm simply going to come in here, remove any of this excess fat. So I've gotten rid of just little pieces of fat that are just kind of hanging there that aren't going to render, and nobody's going to want to eat that. Next thing is going to be to remove the membrane. Now, I've got a video on this, but I'm going to do it again in this video anyway, so I'll link you to it up here just in case you want to see it. That one went great. I don't know if this one's going to go great. They don't always go great. Let's give it a shot and see what happens this time. Now, while I'm doing this, I'll just tell you the reason why people remove the membrane is it tends to sometimes be a little bit chewy, and so some people will score it with a knife. They'll go hatch marks this way and then back across that way, and it kind of becomes like beef jerky when you're going ahead and eating. But if you really want tender ribs, it's a good idea to just get underneath here and get this membrane out. So now that I've got a spot started here, in order to get a good grip, I'm going to use a paper towel. And I'm just gently going to go ahead and pull up on this. I'm going to get it all the way to this end. And now, if you're real lucky, you'll be able to grab a hold of that and pull it off. There we go. That went pretty good. Now that the membrane's off, we're going to go ahead and get this seasoned. I'm using my buddy Joe Saucy Bottom Barbecue's rub today. I really love this stuff. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite barbecue rubs, if not my favorite. His beef seasoning is my favorite. But let's go ahead and be generous with this. And I'm seasoning this side first because once I flip it, I want my seasoning on the other side not to come off. So the best way to do that is not to have to flip it again, right? And we'll try to get these edges here. I actually met Joe this past fall. He was driving out this way. He lives a couple hours south of me. And he was coming up this way to pick up some car parts with his son, and real cool guy. It was real nice to meet him, and he brought me out some more of these seasonings, and we have just really enjoyed the heck out of them here at home. So we'll flip them over, and let's hit up this side. I'm going to go with a real generous coating here. This is going to give us some outstanding color, and the flavor is just phenomenal with this. I mean, there's a lot of good rib rubs. A lot of times I'll just go simple and I'll go salt, pepper, garlic, maybe some onion and some paprika for color. But this stuff is real easy because I don't have to make it. It's done, it's ready to go. And his has got a little bit of brown sugar in it too, so you get a little bit of sweetness. Now we're just gonna let this hang out while we're dialing in the temps on the kettle. We're almost there. Next time you see me, it'll be back outside. I'm sorry, everybody. We had such a noisy day outside. The neighbors were blowing leaves all over, and there was lawnmowers going everywhere, so I didn't do a whole lot other than B-roll outside, but I pretty much just kept these ribs unwrapped the whole way. I rested them in foil once they were done, and then I put our chops on and reverse seared those. So they turned out outstanding. I've already had a little sneak peek of that. Let's cut these ribs up. Extremely tender. We got a beautiful smoke ring. Now again, you can see the smoke ring, the pullback on the bones. These are absolutely perfect. This is just how we like them. We don't want them where they're mush, but we want them where they do fall apart and they come right off the bone. Insanely juicy and delicious. The Kettle does a heck of a job with that slow and sear. All right, let me grab a chop here. Now I did go ahead and reverse sear these. All right, Piff, this is gonna be the last time I use this sauce. I hope I don't tear up when I do this. This goes really good on pork chops. So there we go. We had a beautiful day together as a family, laid some mulch, cleaned up the yard, moved some shrubs around, and it was just a beautiful day outside. Weather was gorgeous. We enjoyed these smells. We enjoyed this cooking. This is exactly what Piff stood for. Being outside in the outdoors, family oriented, and good barbecue. And that's exactly what I have right here. Godspeed, Piff. All right, here's our ribs. Cheers. Clean off the bone. All right, that's it for this episode. I'm going to save this bottle forever. Take care. Till next time, I'll see you on the next episode.